Well, good morning, everybody. I want to welcome you here. My name is Matt. I'm the lead pastor. We're so glad that you're here. So glad that you guys are online or hanging out with us. We're just glad to be together. Hey, and I know from firsthand experience from last week what it's like to be at a church you've never been before. Last Sunday, I spoke at a church down in Murray, Kentucky. I don't know why they had me come speak, but I did. And here's the deal. The first service got completely finished, and I thought it went really well. And I found out that my mic had been on in the ears of the band through all the music all morning, and I was singing my guts out, and this is what the quote was: "It sounded awful." Anyway, so I just want you to know, if you're here and you feel a little awkward, I know exactly how you feel, but we're not going to put a mic in your face. We're not going to ask you to do anything if you're new. We just hope you have a great experience this morning, and somehow all of us take a step in our faith. A couple things I want you to know. These are cool, fun things. A week from this Wednesday, we're having our next night of worship here on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. And night of worship, if you're new, is where we take the Lord's Supper. We sing a lot of songs. It's just a great time to be here. So put that on your calendars. And for all the dudes in the room and online, a week from Saturday, we're launching a 6 weeks men's group. I'm going to be there. It's on Saturday morning. We'd love for you to come and join us. The easiest way to get signed up is pull out your phone and go to the QR code of the seat in front of you. If you're online, there should be a link to click on. I would love for you to join us for that men's group. For this morning, we're going to be here about an hour. We're going to sing a couple great songs, and then I'm going to wrap up our series, You'll Be Glad You Did, and we'll get you out of here in about an hour. I just want you to hear this morning. I am so glad, and we are so glad that you've decided to be with us this morning. So let's stand up and let's sing our first song together.
Surrounds me. Just one word, the darkness has to retreat. Just one touch, I feel the presence of heaven. Just one touch, my eyes were open to see. My heart can't help but believe. There's nothing that our God can't do. There's not a mountain that He can move. Oh, praise the name that makes a way. There's nothing that our God can't do. Just one word, you heal what's broken inside me. Touch, I feel the power of heaven.
Take courage, my heart. Stay steadfast, my soul. He's in the waiting. He's in the waiting. Hold on to your hope as your triumph unfolds. He's never failing. He's never failing. Sing praise, my soul, find strength in joy. Let his words lead you on. Do not forget his great faithfulness. Finish all he's begun. Take courage, my heart. Stay steadfast, my soul. He's in the waiting. He's in the waiting. Hold on to your hope as your triumph unfolds. He's never failing. He's never failing. And you who hold the stars, who call them each by name, will surely keep your promise to me that I will rise in your victory. And you who hold the stars, who call them each by name, will surely keep your promise to me that I will rise in your victory. So take courage, my heart. Stay steadfast, my soul. He's in the waiting. He's in the waiting. Hold on to your hope. Watch your triumph unfold. He's never failing. He's never failing. So take courage, my heart. Stay steadfast, my soul. He's in the waiting. He's in the waiting. Hold on to your hope. Watch your triumph unfold. He's never failing. He's never failing. He's in the waiting. He's in the waiting. He's in the waiting.
Thank you guys so much for singing with us. You can go ahead and take your seats. Yeah. Yeah, we sing a song like that. And that song kind of is like we're talking to ourselves, telling ourselves we got to take courage. And there's a reason that we, those of us who follow Jesus, tell ourselves that is because we can have real hope. That we believe that Jesus isn't off in the far distance in the expanses somewhere, that he is right with us. He wants to be intimately involved in our lives, and he can make a real difference in our life right here, right now, where we are at. And if you are new to church or new to faith, or maybe you don't even believe at all and you're just trying to explore and figure this thing out, I'd tell you what so many of us would say, and is that we can find real hope, real courage, the things that we need in life to make our life better. As we think Jesus makes us better at life, he makes our life better. We can find that in him. And, a place like this is so great. I've been a part of Lifehouse for 5-6 years now. And I'm just constantly blown away by all of you people, so many of you in this room, even those watching online and other parts of the building right now that show up week in and week out and serve and love and connect with each other and give. You guys do that so well. And you know this, that what we are able to see happen, what God can do in people's lives through this place is a result, in part, of your resourcing. This can't happen without your resourcing. And so those of you who consistently give and resource this mission, I just want to say thank you so much. A couple weeks ago, if you were here, Lead Pastor Matt talked about the 10-10-80 rule with giving. It's not really a rule, it's more of just good advice, that you give the first 10%, you save the next 10%, and you live off the 80. And I know a bunch of people in this church that are doing that. And so wherever you're at in that mix, just thank you. If you're new here, we're certainly not asking you to give today. We don't want you to give. We just want you to enjoy your experience and hopefully come back next week. But if you call Lifehouse home and you've seen a difference made in your life or in the life of someone you love here, I want to invite you to be a part of the mission through your giving. That's a huge way to do that. It's a step of faith. If you're in the room, you can do that using the QR codes in the seat in front of you. You can do that online. There are giving boxes that you can drop your donations in on the way out. Click the link in the chat box. But either way, if you're giving resource in the mission, you're a part of seeing people's lives change. So thank you very much for doing that. We're going to keep rolling with the rest of our service. And like Matt said, he's going to finish out our series called You'll Be Glad You Did.
Taking dancing lessons.
Wow. What kind of ballroom dancing or twerking or what?
Well, our guy offered us that.
He did? Okay.
And we said if we have time at the end.
Yeah.
I know. I kind of want to have a surprise twerk. I'm getting married in 1 month.
Okay.
What advice can you give me?
Do a background check on.
My fiance is an attorney, though, so I think they might have already done a background check.
You always want to do your own. There's various levels and types of background checks. So you would have to do your research.
Sounds like you're telling me I should do a background check on the background check people.
If you see a website, there's all kind of colors, the font is large.
What's the ideal professional font size?
Courier, 12.
What's the right number of kids to have?
Oh, well, I mean, I have a dear friend who has 5 kids, and I only have 2 kids. So I think it just depends.
So 2
for me
is the answer.
Yeah,
I don't know if you're watching
because you
this.
can each
2. You're waiting on your wife? That's awesome. What is she doing? Shopping? I'm getting married in a month. How do you get them to stop doing that? I don't know why you're laughing. Sometimes I'll go to like a baseball game.
Yeah.
The crowd will start to do the wave, and then it'll be like my turn to stand up, and I'm like, I really don't want to, but also I'm a people pleaser.
Oh, yeah.
So can I just stay seated?
No, the wave's different. You can never end the wave.
So I just have to do that.
You have to do the
There's some
wave.
things you have to.
Yeah.
What else do I have to do?
Pay taxes?
So I have to pay taxes, I have to do the wave.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
That's easy. I can remember that. I've learned a lot already from you, Marcus.
I feel like you know most of this, but
I do know most of this already. I got life pretty much nailed, but we're trying to shoot this, so I gotta pretend to be an idiot.
I'm going to miss that, guy, as we wrap up this series today. It's good to have you all here again. I'm Matt. I'm the lead pastor here. Listen, to get us started with a really disturbing thought that we're all going to jump in the bucket together, it's this today, that the easiest person, and this will show up on the screen in a second, the easiest person, which will show up on the screen in a second, and because I can't see it, I can't tell you, the easiest person to deceive is the person in the mirror. Isn't that true to get us all in the same place today? I'm the best at deceiving me, and you're the best at deceiving you. Think about this. You have talked yourself into every bad decision you have ever made. You have talked yourself into every bad purchase you ever made. You have sold yourself on whatever you were sold at the department store, online, at the dealership, at Amazon, wherever that may be. You are at the center of every bad decision you ever made. And it even gets worse, and this is kind of a gets worse series, but there's hope at the end, so hang on. We have all masterminded our greatest regret, whether it's financially, professionally, relationally, and this is just something to admit once in a while. We did it to ourselves, right? And I know there were circumstances and there were pressures and there were temptations, but we decided, because in the midst of all those temptations and pressures in our lives, our reactions qualified as our decisions. So whatever we were facing in those really tense moments, how we reacted and decisions we made is why we ended up where we were when it went really wrong. And this is why, when you're really honest with yourself, you can't blame anybody else but yourself, because I decided. Isn't it true? In our worst decisions we've ever made, it's like we have a salesperson in our head selling us on a bad decision. And the weird thing is, the salesperson sounds a lot like us. My salesperson's voice sounds like Matt's voice. And just think about this. If you would go to a department store or go online and talk to a sales representative, and you make a big purchase, and this is the sales pitch that they give you. Hey, you should buy this, and if a week you don't like it, just donate it to somebody else. You would look at them and go, you are out of your mind. But some of us have said, I'm gonna buy that, and if I don't like it, I'll donate it, or maybe your thing is I'll return it, but then we never return it, and that's what people, they know when they sell you stuff, and then we're stuck with it. And if you told your spouse that, they'd be like, are you foolish, or what's the deal? So hang on to that thought, because we are in part 6, the last part. We're wrapping up the movie, if you would, in this series. You'll be glad you did. Timeless, unoriginal advice for troubled times. And as we walk through this, we're going to tie a bow on this today, but before we get there, I just want to tell you that next week, you need to be pumped, you need to come, you need to show up with somebody, because next week we are launching our Be Rich student for the students season, and it's when our church is its very best, and you do not want to miss next week. But today we're wrapping up this series, and we're talking about decisions in our lives in this whole series. If you've not been here through it and you're new, we've been talking about decisions, the good decisions, the bad decisions, the benefits of the good ones, and the regrets and consequences of our bad decisions. And we all have stories where we would say, hey, I am so glad we did, or I wish we had. Or we could all tell a story of, I'm glad we didn't, because we almost did, but we didn't. I'm glad we didn't. Or I wish we hadn't. And this series is unoriginal. It's unoriginal advice. And this is really important. This is not a moral imperative. This is not a right or wrong series. This is not all about the rules, right? Although there is right and wrong moral imperatives in our world. In fact, some of us would clearly tell the story of when we did the wrong thing and it brought in our greatest regret for us, and maybe it broke the heart of people around us. This series is about advice or a guide to walk through that so we don't break our hearts and we don't break the hearts of the people that we love. This is this practical thing that sits between the rules. It's wisdom. And the definition we've been working through this series is wisdom is insights informed by the knowledge that life is connected. And you know this, but we'll say it one more time before we move on next week, that whatever decision I make today will impact tomorrow and the next year, and maybe the rest of my life. And we could all tell the story of I made a decision and now it's one of my bigger regrets in my life. And I don't want us, and I don't think God wants us, to make unwise decisions, and he wants us to avoid our greatest regret. So again, if you're new, this is where we've gone. We've talked about the advice around listen. My daughter Meg spoke last week, and thanks for telling her she's a better communicator than I am. I haven't heard the end of that, so there's that. So that was great. We talked about forgive, why that's great advice to forgive. We've talked about defer or mutual submission in a marriage. If you're married or you want to be married or you're in a relationship, you should go back and watch that. And we talked about live generous and how generosity is one of the greatest things we can do for ourselves and the world around us. And today, our unoriginal advice to wrap this whole thing up is tell yourself the truth. Tell myself the truth. You tell you without any excuses why you didn't finish that thing, why you didn't go there or call them back or take that opportunity, or why you did those things. Tell yourself the truth about that, because we've all acted in a way that we want to lie to ourselves about the truth. And here's what you know about lies in general. Lies damage all relationships. You want to call a separation in a relationship, lie in the relationship, because it puts you at odds with other people. And here's what's interesting as we walk through this today. When you lie to yourself and when I lie to myself, we put ourselves at odds with ourselves in this weird way. And everybody can see it because you're like, hey, you're lying to yourself. You're lying to yourself about whatever the thing is, because other people can see it. And if you and I would just decide today, I'm not going to lie to myself anymore. And here's just between you and I'm not going to ask you to even act on what you discover in your own mind, heart, and maybe the lies you've been telling yourself. I'm not going to ask you to act on it or take a step or do anything. I just want today for you to tell yourself the truth by the end of our service. And here's the cool thing. It opens the door to the possibility that you would change in the future. And you might look back, if you decide to start telling yourself, and I tell myself the truth about things, to look back at yourself today and say, I don't even recognize that person. In fact, you might look back at this season of your life and go, man, I am so embarrassed by the person I was 6 months ago or a year ago because I was lying to myself. I feel a little guilty about it, a little embarrassed. You may feel that. But you may look back and go, I've changed because of this. And the people that know you and love you, they already know, and maybe they already said this to you. And so today, the whole premise is, would you come out of hiding, of not telling yourself the truth? And maybe it'd open the door for you to become the person that God created you to be. And so if you're lying to yourself, when we get to the end of the service and you discover this, here's the bottom line, just stop doing that. Now, we could just pray and go home, but you all know it takes a little bit more work than me just say, stop doing that, right? Because lying to ourselves is so easy. And some people would say, listen, it's hard to not lie to yourself or stop lying to yourself. Some people in this room might say, I know people, it's impossible to stop lying to themselves. They just won't do it. And here's what we've seen. We've seen people come out of hiding of their own lies into the light where it changes everything. But the reason why this is such a difficult task is we're just natural born liars. None of you as parents had to sit your kids down and say, all right, kids, you're 4, you're 6, you're 8 years old. Today, dad or mom, dad is gonna teach you today the rules of how you lie, how you deceive, how you excuse, and how you blame. Parents, am I right? You never had to teach your 4-year-old of that. They just did it naturally. Isn't it true? And it came so easy for them. And it came so easy for me. And then your mom's gonna come next week and she's gonna tell you how to combine a couple of these things and really get good at lying and deceiving and excusing and blaming other people. And there's this weird thing in all of us. This is natural. This is easy. We're natural born liars. And research, and we did a little bit of research around this. Research tells us there's really 3 reasons people tell lies to other people. And it's interesting because I'm not giving you permission to lie to people. I don't think that's healthy, but it makes sense why we lie to people, doesn't it? I might lie to people, you might lie to others because we lie to avoid. I want to avoid pain, so I'm going to lie to people. I'm not saying that's good, but we do it. We want to avoid shame or rejection. Oh, go back a slide, not there yet. Embarrassment. Maybe I want to avoid hurting other people. Maybe you got caught at work doing something you shouldn't do and you don't want to lose your job, and so you lie in that. We lie to protect other people in our lives, or we protect ourselves. I might lie to you, you might lie to me to protect your reputation, protect your income, again, your job. Maybe you're trying to protect a relationship. And ultimately, we lie to other people to win. You know what you're trying to win when you lie to people? Maybe admiration. You're trying to win respect. You're trying to win a promotion. So I'm just gonna fudge, and I'm gonna stretch, and I'm gonna lie. I lie to compete because I wanna win in those areas. And here's the deal. It's not good to lie to other people, but isn't it true? At least it makes sense in my brain that I would lie to get something out of it. The question I wanna ask you is, what's the benefit of lying to yourself? What's the benefit of deceiving yourself? You know what the most common lies researchers have told us we lie to ourselves about? You'll love this, and it won't be a surprise. The most common lies we tell ourselves is how much we eat. I already feel bad about that answer. How much we eat, how much we drink, and how much we exercise. Not what we tell other people, what we tell ourselves. Like literally, they have found that people lie to themselves about how many calories they eat a day, and how much alcohol they drink, and how much exercise. Like somehow, I'm gonna tell myself I took 12,000 steps today instead of the 3,000 I took, because I'm so embarrassed to even be honest with myself about that. The question is, why do we do that? What's the win in me lying to me and you lying to you? I mean, when it comes to how much we eat, how much we drink, and how much we exercise, those are just metrics. They're just numbers, but most of us won't even tell ourselves the truth about that. I mean, I get why I lie to my wife about how much I eat, because she'll just get on me a little bit. Don't eat so many Twinkies. I don't like Twinkies, but I would if they were in front of me, because I'll just eat anything, right? But why do I lie to myself? And the truth is, we lie to ourselves for the exact same reason we lie to other people. Because I lie to myself because I want to avoid. I want to avoid change. I'm convinced, and if I convince myself that I'm not doing whatever I shouldn't be doing, I don't have to do anything about it. So I lie. We lie to protect. I don't want to be embarrassed in my own heart. And if I look at the truth square in the eye, I might feel a little bad and guilty and embarrassed in my own heart and my own mind. If I look square in my past at times, listen, I might even feel a little shame. Now, I don't think Jesus came so we'd feel shame, but we are so worried about guilt and shame that we won't even be honest, just in case it might creep up on us. Every bad decision, every financial thing, every relationship thing that I tripped up and messed up on the way, I have the propensity not to be honest with myself because I'm trying to protect, because that truth might make me feel bad. And ultimately, we lie to win. We lie to win. So we don't have to feel like a loser. And again, the question is, why? Why lie? We lie to ourselves to feel better about ourselves. And here's the thing, I like to feel good, and you like to feel good. We live in a culture where, listen, like the number one priority is we want to feel good about ourselves. And I get why a parent might lie to their children, because a parent, it's not healthy, but they might lie to your kids so your kids feel good about yourselves. But why lie to ourselves? And every time I lie to myself, here's what I'm doing. I am stopping me from moving towards the person I was created to be. Maybe if you're not a Christian, the better version of you. And when I lie to myself, it's 100% guaranteed that I can't move or I won't move forward. And this whole idea of lying to myself, here's kind of a wordy, heady definition. It's self-rejection masquerading as self-protection. I'm protecting me. Well, why don't you do that? Why didn't you do that? Well, I don't even want to look that way, because if I think that, I'm going to reject, who I am. And here's the weird thing, and I hope this makes sense. I hope that I'm honorable enough to you as my friend that you would tell me the truth. Isn't that interesting? Don't you hope that from your friends? That your friends think, hey, Matt's a good enough guy, you're a good enough person, and I'm not gonna lie to him. Somehow, when we look in the mirror, we don't think we're honorable enough to tell ourselves the truth. And you know how we handle this. Listen, I don't care what they think. I don't care what they think. I don't care what they think. That's a lie. Of course you care what they think. You're just covering because you don't want to look in the eye, because you don't like what they think about you or what you think or how things are going. You've ever said this, hey, I've always been this way. This is just who I am. And that's the lie that we perpetuate over. This is just who I am. This is just who I am. How about this? It's fine. Come on, who uses that one? It's fine. It's fine. I mean, there are spouses elbowing rib cages right now. It's fine. Anytime we decide to lie to ourselves in those ways, I don't care what they think. I'm lying to myself. And you know this. If you're a boss, If you owned an organization, if you had employees or you do have employees and they lied to you, you know what the first thing you would do if you had a perpetual liar in your workplace? You'd fire the liar, wouldn't you? You just would. You'd fire the liar and hire a truth teller. And this morning, I just want to encourage you in the areas, and I think we all do this to some degree, the areas that you're not telling yourself the truth, you should fire that liar and start telling yourself the truth. And you should tell yourself the truth even if the truth makes you feel bad about yourself. Because there are worse things in this world than feeling bad about yourself. And just to say it again, we live in a culture like the worst thing you could do is feel bad about yourself and adhere to something bigger than just feeling good. There's worse things, and the people around you may be desperate for you to feel just a little bit bad about yourself so you could change. Now here's a question for you. Are you encouraged and are you glad you came to church this morning? Because I know this is hard stuff, but it gets worse because we're human beings. And so here's a thought. The thought is when we aren't honest about why we're doing what we're doing, we have a difficult time taking responsibility for the outcome of our doing. And we see this in our culture and this world all over the place. And hang on that thought for just a second. This is what we see in our culture, but I'm not going to blame our culture on this. It's not my fault. I got myself into this situation financially, economically, relationally, but it's not my fault. It's somebody else's fault, even though I made the decision to be here. We have an adjective for that. It's called being irresponsible, isn't it? Self-deception leads to us becoming irresponsible, but here's the rub. When we are irresponsible, we become others' responsibility. Some of you are playing this out right now because you are caring for someone that was irresponsible with their health, and now you're having to take care of them. And they have given you every excuse why their health is the way it is, and you've heard it all, and you know it all, and you don't want to hear any more because you just know it was your responsibility. Maybe you're taking care of someone that was irresponsible with their money, and now it's on you to figure out their debt and how to pay it back and to get them out of whatever situation they're in, and you're responsible because they were irresponsible. And this is just in every arena of life. It's why I just think that you should just tell yourself the truth. I think God would say, tell yourself the truth. Your mama would say, tell yourself the truth. And this, my friends, is terrifying because it can be so embarrassing when just you, not to anybody else. You don't have to tell anybody else, just you. Look yourself in the mirror and go, oh, that's the truth about me. And you might be embarrassed. And again, you might feel a little bit of the shame, guilt thing, and it just kind of creeps in. And we'll talk about that in just a second. And you might feel bad about yourself. But when you do this, you tell yourself the truth, you open up a gateway, a doorway, a path to becoming who God created you to be and hopefully who you want to be. And if you're a Christian, you don't believe me, it's why Jesus said, you're going to know the truth. And the truth's going to set you free. And you got to acknowledge what you do and you don't do, and you got to come out of hiding, and then you would know the truth. And the truth would set you and I free. And I'm willing to bet 100% of us in this room and online, and everybody you know and everybody in this world has some little part of our world that we lie to ourselves about. It's why for some of you that are hearing me talk, your immediate reaction is, Matt, I just hope they're hearing this. That's how you feel right now. I hope my son, my daughter, my husband, my wife, I hope they're hearing it. Matt, this is so good. Keep getting on those deceiving people all around me. And I'm not talking to the people around you today. I'm talking to you, and I'm talking to me. And just so you know, I love you all, But I'm trying to offend everybody in this place today, just so we're all on the same page. And I've been offended by myself all week thinking through this myself. Now, here's what's cool. When you open up the scriptures, the New Testament, there's hope and there's a promise, but it is an equal opportunity offender, because Jesus just kind of comes after everybody because he loves us so much. And he does not want us to lie to ourselves. So Paul, who loved Jesus and wrote half the New Testament, he writes this little letter to a church in a place called Philippi. And they were Christians that were living under Nero's Rome. And Nero's Rome was a terrible place to be a Christian. They slaughtered Christians, burned them alive. And so this little group of Christians in Philippi were probably a little scared. Their whole world was upside down, and they're waiting, and they have a propensity to hide and maybe in their own lies. And Paul recognizes it. So he sits down and he writes them this letter of insight. And he says this to him in Philippians chapter 4. He says, hey, the peace of God. Can I ask you a question this morning? Just side note. For some of you right now, what would you give for the peace of God in your heart right now? You know, when your stomach's aching and your heart's pounding, your brain hurts because you're so lacking peace. What would you give for the peace of God in your life right now and tomorrow and maybe the rest of your life? Hold on. The peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your heart like a warrior guards something precious, would guard your heart and your minds in Christ Jesus. Like somehow there's peace from God. That's why I asked you the question, what would you give for it? That in the middle of an upside down world, you could breathe. In the middle of all the worry and all the concerns, you could breathe. All the things about the stock market and gas prices and housing prices, you could still breathe. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I dread the next political season that's coming up, just because of all the anxiousness and anxiety and anger that's going to come with it. What if instead of having all that, you could breathe? What if instead of freaking out at people, you could have peace? In the middle of this upside down, crazy world, what if you could have peace that guarded your heart? And Paul was said, if you want peace, here's what I want you to set your mind on and think about. I want you to think about whatever is true. Just true. Not what's a lie, not false, what's true. I want you to think about what is noble, worthy, respectful, dignified, elevated, something better than what we are or what we have. Whatever is right, and we lean so much in to what is wrong. What if we just thought about the best things, the right things, whatever is pure? And this idea of pure is untainted, unmixed, no gray. It's like going to the best mountain spring, taking a bucket and filling it up with the perfect water that's not tainted by all the stuff we put in our water and just drink deep from it. What if we had access to that in the peace of our heart? Whatever is lovely, pleasing, whatever is well, and whatever is admirable, respectable. Paul says, would you look at these things, this list of what's true and noble and right and pure and lovely and reliable. And if you want peace, it's in these things to set your heart on. This is where you become at peace with yourself, and this is where you find peace with God. And in all these things, what is not in this list are lies. He said, in light of, I'm going to read the list one more time, truth and nobility and righteousness and purity and loveliness and admiration. Paul says, set and think about such things. This is a powerful statement. Paul is saying, in the light of all this list, noble and pure and right and lovely, I want you to measure everything in you compared to them. And I want you to let these things push those out. That every time you have something that's a little dark or a little tainted or a little unlovely, I want you to set your mind on the list that we just read. Next slide. Whatever is true, noble, right, pure, lovely, and admirable, set your mind, celebrate these things, lean in, and here's the secret code that Paul's trying to say. All these are wrapped up in the person of Jesus. And let that expel anything in you and in me that is not true and not lovely. And there's a promise that goes with this. And the promise is, if you'd set your mind on this incredible list, he says, and the God of peace will be with you. To which some of you may ask the question, well, Matt, isn't God always with us? Yes, he's always with us. This is in reference to experience the God who is with us. That's why some of you know Christians. Now, I can slip into this just like everyone else, but you know Christians that say, I believe in Jesus and his peace, and they live like they have no peace. They live like they're inside out all the time. Paul would say, you can experience God's immeasurable present peace, but you have to let what is good, right, noble, push out what is unright and not true and evil and even sinful. Because when we embrace what is true, we come out of hiding. And here's the part of this that just overwhelms me every time I think about it, about telling myself the truth about me or not wanting to tell myself the truth about myself. It's this idea that if God accepts you without lying to himself about you, think about this. If God loves you like crazy, go to the ends of the earth, I'll give my life for you kind of love. But he does not have to lie to himself about you. He doesn't have to look away from certain parts of your life. When he sees you doing something that's not good or not healthy for you other people, he doesn't like pretend that's not happening. He loves you and looks at it at the same time. In other words, he gives you incredible grace and incredible truth. If God knows every motive of our heart and every action we take, and isn't that just a little terrifying, but still loves you? Who are you to lie to yourself about you? Especially if you're a Christian. If God doesn't have to look away from what is true about you and still love you, why do we look away from what's true that we don't want to really admit, address, or give our attention to? And this is where we come to this place like, God, just give me the courage. Just give me the courage this morning to look myself in the mirror and go, okay, I just want to be truthful with myself today. So God, you can start working on whatever you need to start working in me. Because what's at stake, my friends, is progress. It's loving people well. It's being who God has created you or recreated you as a new creation in Christ to do. And when we don't do this, it just gets in the way of our progress. So again, just tell yourself the truth. And there's things that are just hard to tell ourselves the truth about. I'll just give you one little insight for me. It's always hard for me to tell the truth about my weight. Like if you say, Matt, how much do you weigh? I'm immediately going to take 12 pounds off. Just so you know, my weight and my golf score, because both are in the wrong direction. Just so you know, it's so easy. And what I'm about to do in just a second, in light of this promise, I'm going to ask you some questions. Remember, the promise is, if you'd set your mind on what is true and deal with the liar and maybe fire the liar, you could have peace. And as I ask these next couple, well, they're more than a couple, handful of questions, you might be tempted to lie to yourself, like your weight or your golf score, or whatever your normal thing is. And here's the deal. I'm going to ask these questions, and most of them, for most of you, will be irrelevant. But for almost all of you, one or two probably apply. And when you hear it and your heart is dinged and something bounces around in your soul and you just know it's something to pay attention to, do not lie to yourself. You don't have to tell anybody. You don't have to do anything. I just don't want you to lie to yourself about whatever it is that's resonating in you that you haven't been truthful about. So here are the questions. First is, why are you avoiding him? Why are you avoiding her? Why are you avoiding that conversation? Why are you avoiding that thing? Another way to put this is, why do you keep putting off or keep putting that off? Really? Why do you keep putting that off? Really? And I know you got an answer, and I know I've got an answer, and it's so well rehearsed. It comes so easy, but this is just between you, and if we're honest, you and God and nobody else. So why are you avoiding that thing? Why are you putting it off? That's a question you might want to think through. Here's another question. Why won't you go to the doctor? I know. You've told everybody why you won't go. Come on, have a better answer than that. There are people that are counting on you, that love you, that want you to get well and healthy. Why won't you go to the doctor? Just be honest with yourself. No one's going to be mad at you. Just be honest with yourself. Here's a weird but applicable question. Who do you get dressed for in the morning? When you get dressed, do your hair, your makeup, put on the suit, whatever your routine is, who are you getting dressed for? And who's on your mind? And you wouldn't want anybody to know who's on your mind, so you don't say it out loud and you won't even tell yourself, but it's in your mind all the time. Who do you get dressed for in the morning? Why did you move in? I know. We're saving money. Try it before you buy it. It makes sense. It's practical. Come on. Why did you move in when you said, I'll never move in until there's a ring on my finger, and now you moved in? And no one's mad at you about it, but you owe yourself the truth of why you moved in. You should think about that. Why are you moving out? I know she did and he did, and you tell yourself, but why are you moving out? Why won't you get help? Everyone has told you around you that you need help, and you got 20 reasons why you don't need help. But this is between you and maybe you and God. Why won't you get some help? People are longing for you to tell yourself the truth about whatever you need help on. Why won't you see a counselor? I know it's expensive, but you always find a way to pay for the things you really want to do and buy and have. Why won't you see a counselor? Ladies, why do you continue to go out with him? Or go out with people like him? Your mama has said he's not good for you. Your friends, he's not good for you. You are on a faith track of following Jesus, and he is not. Why do you keep going out with him when you know that you wanted someone that was going to walk with you in faith and follow Jesus? I think this is already up here. Guys, why do you continue to go out with her? Really, guys, really? I mean, at the end of the day, why are you going out with her? Is it what is pure and lovely and noble and right? Or is it something outside of that? Here's a tough one. I almost didn't put this up, but we're asking hard questions today. Why did you file for divorce? And I know what the go-to answer is, and you've been telling the answer for 10 years, but why did you really file for divorce? You told everyone the same answer day after day, and it's terrifying to tell the truth around this. But the reason you give is a bad reason. And it's hiding the real reason. And you've told the story so many times of why you filed for divorce, your second divorce, your third divorce, that you believe the answer yourself. The narrative is so strong, and nobody is mad at you about it, but you deserve to tell yourself the truth. Why you filed for divorce? Why won't you commit to that person or those people or maybe the church you love? Why won't you commit? The people you care about? Why are you quitting your job? For the 7th time in 10 years, why are you quitting your job? I mean, really, I know your boss is a jerk and it's not fair and all this, but why are you really quitting your job? And only you can answer that, but you should be honest with you because people around you are probably asking you that. What's the real reason you don't call your kids or your mom or your dad or your brother or your sister? I know your story about Christmas 10 years ago. Everybody's heard it. And you tell the people that affirm your decision not to talk to whoever it is in your life. I know your dad wasn't there when he should have been there, whatever part of that life was, but why won't you call him? I know everybody's like, yeah, if I were you, I would. But if you're a Jesus follower, why won't you call your mom or your dad or your kid? Well, come on, just be honest with yourself. You don't have to go do it today, but you should be honest with yourself. Why won't you tell her the truth about what's really going on? I know you would say, because I don't want to hurt her. And maybe the real answer is I just don't want to stop whatever's really going on. The truth will set you free. Why won't you tell him about what's really going on? I know it's hard and it's terrifying. You don't even have to do it, but would you be honest with yourself of why you won't tell him or her the truth? Why won't you go back to school? Or go back to the training. You were so passionate about the training or the schooling or the thing you wanted to be, and for some reason you quit, and you had a story you told everybody. Why don't you just be honest with yourself? With you and maybe you and God. For everybody. And this is applicable for everybody. What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of right now? That you don't want anybody to know. You're a man, and women, I'll just speak to the men on this because I don't know women, I know men better. You don't want anybody to know because you're a man. Well, what are you afraid of? Well, I'm not afraid of anything, Matt. Yeah, you are. You just admitted you're afraid of admitting you're afraid, because we're all afraid of something. So what are you afraid of? Just say it in your own soul. Tell God, I am afraid. And it's so many things to be afraid of, but the peace that transcends all understanding could guard your heart if you could say what is true and noble and worthy and honorable. What are you afraid of? Just say it. What are you most afraid of? Just think of what could happen if you got that out and dealt with it a little bit. And the most important question of the morning that everybody's asking is, why doesn't Matt mind his own stinking business about all this crap? Thanks for the applause over there. That affirms me. I know this is horrible, isn't it? It's terrifying. But your heavenly Father, who loves you, looks at you with full-on truth about every part of your life, every lie, and every embarrassing, shameful, guilty, sinful, rotten thing about you and about me. And you know what his response is? I love you, let's work on it. I love you, let's work on it. I'm not shaming you, I'm not chasing you off, I'm chasing after you. Let's work on it. Come out of hiding and tell yourself the truth. Because here's the power of this. When we come out of hiding and we bring our lies into the light, our lies lose power. When we come out of hiding and we look in the eye and we say, God, this is what I'm afraid of. This is why I moved in. This is why I quit another job. This is why I won't go to counseling. This is why I won't get help. God, I'm going to answer the question, whatever it might be. It takes the power out of it. Light dispels the darkness. And your Heavenly Father, He sees it all. And if your Heavenly Father can see all that you have and all that you are, the good and the embarrassing stuff, and love you, then you should do the same for yourself. Because He loves you. And if you're not a follower of Jesus, I'm telling you, this is still what's best for your life, to tell yourself the truth. I hope you just do this. But if you are a follower of Jesus, Jesus said, the truth will set you free. I'm the truth. What's noble, what's true, what's right, what's beautiful. Set your mind on such things. We're gonna sing this amazing song. It's literally called Come Out of Hiding. And I'm gonna let you stay in your seats. You can sing or not sing, I don't care, but what I would love for you to do, and if you're at home, driving in your car, wherever you are, I would participate. I would just like for you to tell yourself the truth in the next few moments. And know that you are completely loved. But your Father in heaven wants you to be the person He created you to be as His child. Heavenly Father, this is so hard. So hard for me to look in the mirror this week and think about some of the things in my own life. I know there's some people in this room, online, this is just difficult. And it's scary and it is embarrassing. But at least help us to have the courage to be truthful with ourselves. In the lens of you love us with it all, but you want to change us. And Jesus, be the truth that sets us free. Help us to set our mind on those good things and let it expel the darkness, and let it start with us telling ourselves the truth in every area of our life. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Come out of hiding, you're safe here with me. There's no need to cover what I already see. You've got your reasons, but I hold your peace. You've been on lockdown and I hold the key. 'Cause I loved you before you knew it was love, and I saw it all, still I chose the cross. And you were the one that I was thinking of when I rose from the grave. Now rid of the shackles, my victory's yours, and I tore the veil for you to come close. There's no reason to stand at a distance anymore. You're not far from home. I'll be your lighthouse when you're lost at sea, and I will illuminate everything. No need to be frightened by intimacy. No, just throw off your fear and come running to me. Oh, 'cause I loved you before you knew it was love, and I saw it all, still I chose the cross. And you were the one that I was thinking of, and I rose from the grave. Now rid of the shackles, my victory's yours, and I tore the veil for you to come close. There's no reason to stand at a distance anymore. You're not far from home. You're not far from home. And oh, as you run, what hindered love will only become part of the story. And oh, as you run, what hindered love will only become part of the story. And oh, as you run, what hindered love will only become part of the story. And oh, as you run, what hindered love will only become part of the story. Baby, you're almost home now. Please don't quit now. You're almost home to me. Baby, you're almost home now. Please don't quit now. You're almost home to me. Baby, you're almost home now. Please don't quit now. You're almost home to me.
Thank you guys so much for being here today. We love you so much. You guys are dismissed.